You know, when I was your age, things were a lot different. We didn't have all these fancy gadgets, streaming services, or endless playlists. No, sir. If we wanted to hear good music, we'd gather round the radio, like this one, here, and listen close. And every time that deep, rumbling voice came on, well, we all knew it was Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash was born way back in 1932 in a tiny little town called Kingsland, Arkansas. Life wasn't easy then. The Great Depression had folks barely scraping by, and Johnny's family was no exception. They lived on a farm in Dyess, Arkansas, where Johnny learned hard work from a young age, walking the fields, planting, and picking cotton, alongside his brothers. Now, speaking of brothers, Johnny had a younger brother named Jack, and that boy was his best friend growing up. But tragedy struck in 1944 when Jack was just 14. He was killed in a tragic accident on the farm, a sawmill accident that left a mark on Johnny's heart forever. It was a loss that haunted him for years and found its way into his music and soul. Before Johnny was the man in black you hear on the radio, he joined the Air Force in 1950. That's right, the same man who sang about trains and prisons spent time up in the sky flying airplanes. Funny thing is, it was during his time in the Air Force, while stationed in Germany, that Johnny started playing guitar seriously. He'd carry that guitar around with him, playing in bars and clubs, honing his sound and writing songs. Some of those early days shaped the storytelling style he'd become famous for. After his service, Johnny moved to Memphis, Tennessee, chasing his dream. He started working with Sun Records, the same label that gave Elvis Presley his start. Johnny's first hit was Cry, 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 but it was Folsom Prison Blues that really put him on the map. That song, about a man stuck behind bars wishing for freedom, spoke to something deep in a lot of people. And Johnny didn't just sing about prison life, he took it one step further. In 1968, he performed live at Folsom Prison itself. Can you imagine? Singing to a crowd who literally couldn't get up and walk away if they didn't like what they heard. That album, At Folsom Prison, became one of his most famous records and helped revive his career at a time when things were getting a little rough. Speaking of rough, Johnny's life wasn't always easy. He struggled with drug and alcohol addiction for years. Those battles sometimes put him in trouble and strained relationships. But his wife, June Carter, a singer and member of the legendary Carter family, was his rock. They married in 1968, and June helped Johnny turn his life around. Their love story is one of the most touching in music history, filled with support, forgiveness, and plenty of duets that still make people smile. Over the years, Johnny's voice got rougher, weathered by time and experience. But that only made his songs carry more weight. He sang about faith, redemption, heartache, and the messy parts of being human. He wasn't afraid to sing for the down-and-outs, the forgotten, and anyone struggling to find their way. And you know, Johnny Cash wasn't just a country singer. He crossed genres and generations. From rock to folk to gospel, his music touched all kinds of people. In the 1990s, he recorded the American Recordings albums, stripped down and raw, reminding the world why his voice and story mattered. Johnny passed away in 2003, just months after June died. But his music, it's still alive, riding on that deep voice through radios, speakers, and hearts everywhere. So next time you hear Johnny Cash on the radio, remember, you're hearing more than just a song. You're listening to a man who sang for the hopeful, the broken, and everyone just trying to get by. When I was your age, his music was a lifeline, and I reckon it still is. Enough of my rambling. Let's listen to a little more. Soak it all in.
I hear the train a-comin', it's rollin' round the bend. And I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom.